All right, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you guys to the 2000X Masters of the Universe cartoon series voice actors panel. Oh, well, I mean, you can. I am your moderator, Dan Eardley. Just a few reminders before we get started. We are asking that there will be no video taken of this panel. We are filming it for the PowerCon YouTube channel, so we want to keep it to that one video if possible. Also, we will be reserving some time at the end of the panel, probably the last 10 to 15 minutes, for some Q&A. So if you guys have questions, there's a microphone in the middle. When I call you guys up, you can just line up at the microphone. Other than that, I think it's time to go ahead and get started. We have an amazing cast sitting here at the table who brought life to the characters of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe 15 years ago for the relaunch of the brand. Amazing, right? It's already been 15 years.
I was younger then.
So
I was about 30 years younger then.
You're about 30 years. Why don't we go ahead and just start right here to my left. If you guys want to just kind of go down the table and introduce yourselves and maybe tell everybody the roles that you played in the cartoon.
Hello, I'm Cam Clarke. No, I'm sorry. It's like the read thing. You put it in front of me, I will read it. I'm Brian Dobson. I'm a voice actor. I played Skeletor, Ceratus, King Hiss, Buzz-Off, Squeeze, Web Store.
Yes, but who did you play in the show?
It's my fantasy. These are all the roles I wanted to play, but never got a chance at. So, no, that's who I had, and I think there was 8 characters in total on the show. But what a wonderful experience!
I may cry.
Right?
Yeah, these are.
Tears
You
of
do have to
joy.
like kind of swallow right on these. Yeah, I'm He-Man. I played Cam Clarke, and no, I'm sorry. Cam Clarke played He-Man and Prince Adam. After you,
it's me.
go ahead, Garry.
Hi, I'm Garry Chalk. I played He-Man a long time ago.
Wait a minute. Cam played He-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Cam. No, I didn't play He-Man in the 2002. I played Man-at-Arms and Whiplash and some other character who I can't remember the name of. So there you go.
I think his name was Barry.
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 Yes. Barry White.
You're
Doing
dating
well.
yourself there.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm dating myself. You don't know him, do you? No, there you go.
See?
But that's it.
Crickets.
You shouldn't date yourself. You'll go blind.
And numerous incidental characters. But Man-at-Arms was the main one.
What about in the other series?
Oh, in the other series, I played a character called Geppel, and another character called He-Man. Who? He-Man. His name was He-Man. And there was another character, and for the life of me, I cannot remember the name of him because I'm old.
Barry.
Barry. It was Barry. Barry Black. In the earlier show, you know, 'cause, you know, equal opportunity and all that, you know. But anyway.
Hi, I'm Scott, and I'm... Oh, wait. Totally different meeting. Never mind. My name's Scott McNeil. I am also, coincidentally, a voice actor. I have never played... Actually, no, I did. In the very first episode of that, I was originally He-Man, and then it all got swept around. So technically...
You were the first.
I had one word, and they went, no, you suck. We're going to have Garry do it instead. But in the New Adventures of He-Man, which was like 30 years ago, 29, I was Flipshot, Krex, Vizar, and Butthead. And then Masters of the Universe from 2003, I was Beastman, Ramman, Stratos, Clawful, Cobra Khan, and
Some
Merman.
other guy. And Barry.
And Barry. Barry was his own identical twin. Yeah. Over to you, Mike.
Thank you. My name is Michael Donovan.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Hi.
I was King Randor in the 2000. What was it? 2002? Did we do that?
2002.
I know, it's a long time ago. Whoa. Seems like only
Yeah.
yesterday.
Count.
Don't you put yourself down like that. You still are king.
Count Marzo, I think I was. Roboto. And someone else. I don't know.
Barry.
I was also Barry, and I was the voice director. So these guys had to put up with me saying, "No, do it again."
Do it better.
Faster.
Faster.
Louder.
Act faster.
Yes.
Scott, act faster.
Act faster.
Act fast.
I
Scott,
still
act
say
fast.
that.
Scott,
Anyway, so that's on to you.
fine director was our Mike Donovan.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
We've been working together for nearly 30 years.
Quite some time.
And
And Gabe has lost his voice slightly.
so I'm
Gabe
going
will
to
be doing
speak
all
for
of
him.
his
Time, so-
all of his answers
Will
is
you text?
interpretive dance.
I played Orko.
There he goes.
I'm Orko, and I was a happy, jolly fellow.
Amazing.
But I've lost my voice.
Believe it or not, I play Orko.
Wait, what happened to you since yesterday?
Believe that
My
or
God,
not,
he
yeah.
sounds like me on a bad day.
Gabe, no.
Orko, 15 years later.
Life
He had a hard life.
Life took its toll on Orko.
But we had fun at cosplay, didn't we? Yay! Yay!
15 10 cards,
Must have
Frosty
been a lot
Blonde.
of fun.
It was a lot of Orko. I pulled an Orko.
You'll go blind.
Careful.
So I apologize, but
Take another
it's great
lozenge.
great to be up here with these guys and with you. Thank you.
Oh, that's great.
That's a $3.99 a minute voice right
Thank you
there.
very much.
You've created a new character.
Yeah,
is
that's
what
right.
you've done.
I play Orko. The young Orko.
That's funny.
Puts the orc in Orko is what he does.
Ah, I saw what you did there.
Hey, clever, huh? Warhammer, we love it. No, anyway.
All right.
So thank you for coming.
Yes,
You've been
thank you
great.
guys.
Thank you all.
Give it up
Thank
for
you.
these
It's been
guys.
wonderful.
Amazing
Yeah,
stuff.
try the veal.
So let's
really
start.
good.
Let's start talking about that relaunch of Masters of the Universe from 2002. You guys, between all of you, played so many of the characters on the show, which is amazing. And any of you that want to answer this can spring up and answer. But out of curiosity, starting from the beginning, when you got this role, were you familiar with the original He-Man and the Masters of the Universe series? Was this an exciting role for you as a result? Or any stories surrounding the original show?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I was familiar with the earlier show, and when I saw Orko, I had my name all over it. Is that about right? Yes, that's correct.
The translation of the evening will be carried out by Mr. Garry Chalk, who speaks fluent Gabe, as he had Gabe as a pet for many years.
Yes.
I was familiar with the original franchise, so I mean, it was one of those things that was very cool to get cast in because it's already cool before you start. You know, you're just like, dude, seriously, we're doing like He-Man? I mean, the New Adventures was the very first gig I ever did, so it was, you know, it's near and dear to my heart. And then the revisit was like, dude, this is like the real deal. This is like we're redoing He-Man. And I, you know, ended up going, wow, I'm playing all these characters that I know and love. This is quite exciting. Although it was strange because the very first day on that one, it was like, I know myself personally, I was cast as, I think it was Beast. But then all of a sudden, they just threw a couple of extras in. Like Stratos was unexpected. And the producer was the one that said, well, you know, just do Sean Connery. I've got this idea that he should sound like Connery.
Right.
And then it was like, oh, you're also Merman. And I went, okay, that's one I would need a day or two to whip something together. But it was like, no time. So it was like, okay, waters beneath her doing this. That's how you look Merman.
Is that the gargly voice guy?
Yeah, remember Ted Cole did this amazing voice. He just basically sounded like he was underwater the whole time.
Yeah.
And I literally
Well,
said,
'cause
you
he
should
was.
get Ted in for this. And they went, we don't have time. Do something that sounds bubbly. I've given away all my trade secrets now. It's like, voice is easy. You just do this.
Well, the 2002 version was a bit of a traumatic experience for me because, well, I played He-Man in the New Adventures, and I'd watched the earlier ones, and it was my Battle Cat, Cringer, and Tila. Watched that, and I was so excited to play it, and then I came back, and they went, "You're too old."
Sounds a little old.
I'm so sorry.
Nice.
This story's killing me, man.
We've got a younger, stronger, better.
We found a young Garry Chalk type.
We found a young Garry Chalk type, and I went, but I love that character, and he goes, yeah, it's tough. Anyway, but
so that's why I found the tarantula in my bed, huh?
that's right. But I did get to play Man-at-Arms, and I really admired Man-at-Arms, and I loved the mentor quality about that character, and it was so fun, and then to play something directly opposite like Whiplash was like really cool. So yeah, it was nice to play to be in a show that was full of basically iconic characters, and that's the way it goes.
It's interesting too. I told somebody that I was working on He-Man, and because I had done Conan before,
All shows that end in N.
yeah, so that was the theme that was going. He said, "Oh, so you're He-Man? Are you He-Man?" I went, "No, I'm He-Man's dad."
You see, it's not fun.
No.
Aging is not for the timid.
Yes. The day that they said, Gary, you just don't look that great in the loincloth anymore. He cried like a baby. Like a baby.
It was so sad.
Anyway, it was a good.
He shaved his
show.
back and everything.
Did a Shazado mask the night before just to make sure.
Next question.
All right, so on that note,
do
let's
that.
shift gears. So let's talk more about that original series and the inspiration maybe that you drew from that show. You've already kind of talked about some of the characters that you made up on the spot, the Stratos doing the Sean Connery
Yes,
thing.
indeed.
Yes, yes. Some
Money
of these
Penny,
characters.
come over here and on my lap. Excuse me, James. You had me. Come over here and on my lap.
But then we have characters like Skeletor, who had a very familiar sound to his voice, had the very nasally sound that Alan Oppenheimer had in the original series. So maybe could some of you speak on the influence of the original cast and if that kind of brought you to bring that voice alive in the new series?
I think they were very interested in catching and keeping the essence of the original. Because I don't know about the rest of you, but we got CD packages basically with voice refs of the originals to base on what we were going to go with, and their direction to me was basically follow this as best you can, but bring it into a little bit of a darker, edgier place, and let's see where we go from there. And that was basically it for me. I mean, it was just once I had Alan's print and. A general. I was really familiar with the lineage of the whole show too. So I mean, it was definitely a somebody pinch me situation, having a chance to bite into that character. So, yeah, I had the voice refs, and then I just kind of went to work with making him a little darker.
I was basically involved in the casting of the show because I was the voice director, and I worked with a fellow named Ian Richter, who was one of the main guys I'd worked with before on other projects. And that was the one thing that was different about the New Adventures of He-Man. That was a jet-lag production. And it was really nothing like the original. So when this 2002 came up, they were very interested in making sure that the main characters, Man-at-Arms, and of course He-Man, and Adam, and King Randor, and Skeletor, and all these ones were as close as we could get them to the original, because really it was an homage to, this original, to the original
and I was
series.
sent voice references to Josie and the Pussycats, so you can imagine how disappointed I was when I showed up in Vancouver for, and I wasn't playing Melanie, the drummer.
Shocking.
It was
Indeed.
shocking.
And I had my tail and my ears.
Yeah, but
were just all-
you looked good.
We
and
were
that's-
But I look good
Yeah.
in the Pussycat suits.
yeah, so that was the.
It was like a record scratch. Cam walks in costume and all of a sudden,
They were very, very, very specific about Barry, too.
Yeah.
Because Barry was such a seminal character in the original series.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a mime. You never heard him speak, but they really needed to capture that essence.
Yeah.
Which is how
And I
Gabe
think we
ended up
did a
with the
very
role.
good job, don't you? But the thing I liked about
Gabe in a
the
box.
thing I liked about the that iteration of He-Man was that I love the stories. Like, I'm more writer. Well, I'm not a writer, but I'm writer driven, and I'm story driven.
But I play one on TV.
Yeah, but I play one on TV. No, I love the stories, and I love the character and the production value of the show. It was really good, and the soundtrack to me was just the best of all the shows. The soundtrack was for that particular iteration was really good, and I just like being a part of it. Thank you for watching.
Hey.
So, Cam, talking about Prince Adam and He-Man, you play both roles, and the characters are slightly different. And even in this series, this is the first time we really got to see Adam and He-Man look very physically different too. So can you kind of speak to how you approached that role and the two different voices that you did for both characters?
I wish I had something rocket science-y to tell you about that, but as you folks may know, I was brought up from LA to work with these guys in Vancouver, the most beautiful city in North America. And I just remember they'd asked for they were looking for someone to play both parts. And it was just kind of felt like in my wheelhouse. So, I'd already been working on Turtles and a couple of other kids, teenage show kind of things. So that was already going on. So it was pretty much just, how about voice number 17 and voice number 34? And it worked.
But it always took forever, when we were recording, especially when he was recording, because we'd wait for him to do the He-Man part, but we had to go in, put on his loincloth, and get his boots on,
Oil up,
and his harness, and he couldn't do it without the sword. And then, of course,
hey, now that's private. That's what he said.
Yeah,
what?
But then, as soon as he was going to do Adam, on come the tights, and he sort of gets a little light, and it just took forever. It was kind of frustrating,
but I'm so worth it.
But you're still working.
Well, speaking of a
And we love that.
transformation, how about reading the lines to do the famous He-Man? By the power of Grayskull, I have the power. What would
Come on, you can do it.
By the power of Grayskull, I have the power. Why, thank you. Thank you very much. And now it's, by the legend of Grayskull, I have the power, so here's my sword, and my loincloth is hanging a little bit lower now, but it's still furry. But Garry, I'm just saying what you all were thinking. Come on.
Fur's getting a little thin.
So when you approached that for the first time, did you kind of
The free loincloth?
He-Man's catchphrase? Did you kind of take inspiration from John Irwin's He-Man and kind of go from there and then turn it into your own thing? Did you have any kind of process for that?
No, sorry, boy, all these artistic questions and I have no artistic answer.
You for making us think.
Oh, come on. That was an iconic phrase.
Yes, but no, I just did it. I had no reference from He-Man. I'm just old enough to have, as I said, the Archies were probably the last cartoon I tuned in to, so it was kind of like just right after me. Mm-hmm. So just working, doing a lot of voice work where I've, fortunately been able to play the young kids and then also able to do grown-up sounds. So I kind of just went on my own.
No.
Well,
I'm answering wrong. They're hating my answers.
Hold him.
Yeah.
Cam needs a nap and a cookie.
Well, I think we can actually ask Garry the same question then.
Yeah, ask Garry the same question.
Concerning the new adventures of He-Man. You got to say that iconic phrase once, right?
Well, to tell you the truth, as the oldest guy on this table, when the He-Man came out, I was already a grown-up. So I didn't really watch a lot of He-Man, but then when cartoons started to become a part of my life, I had to start watching a lot of cartoons. And that's exactly what I did. You can't really futz with that phrase because it's a recognizable, everybody knows that phrase. But I had to put my own stamp on it, and I did, and mine was, by the power of Eternia, I have the power! Nice. That was, it was, so I just throw on my own voice, and of course they threw echo and thunder and lightning. I tried to do it myself. They don't do the thunder.
Do your own Foley.
I thought it was kind of cool. But yeah, I've done that with all my characters. Like Transformers, when I did Transformers, the only exposure I had to Transformers at the time was I used to do all the Generation 2 commercials, the toy commercials, and all the Transformer Generation 2. But then when they called me in to play Optimus Prime, I had no idea, so I just did my own voice. And they said, make it warmer, make it bigger, make it louder, make it a bit more texture. And I went, okay. And then I heard Peter Cullen's version, and I went, I don't sound like that at all. So, but they liked the way it was because he was an animal, not a truck. So I stuck with that. And so I think with every character we do, I mean, you want to maintain elements of those characters that, especially if they've already been done over generations, which they have, and put your own stamp on it, so that the voice becomes uniquely yours and at the same time recognizable as an iconic character.
Point of order, Mr. Chalk.
Yes.
In fact, your character from Beast Wars was referred to as Optimus Primal, not Optimus Prime. There is great confusion about that, and people will often superimpose the two characters, but they are in fact two completely different entities.
Yes, but Scott.
It took me forever to figure that out.
Scott.
Yes, Garry.
Scott, I don't want to beat you up or anything, but
Yes, you do.
I also played Optimus Prime in Cybertron.
Oh, right.
And
Okay.
Energon and Armada and all those things. So you had to try and find a fusion between Primal and Prime. That's what I did.
He's gone full Shatner. God, somebody stop him. Please, I can't.
I don't know how it happened. I was listening to him last night and I went, oh, I've got Shatneritis. But
You Shatnered yourself.
Yeah.
I Shatnered my trousers.
That's actually a term that you use in the recording studio quite often. It was like, you're kind of Shatnering that one a bit. So it's now a verb.
I kind of took a little nap there for a minute, but when I heard you say, and he's an animal, not a truck, and I'm looking out at these guys and they're going, yeah, right, okay, yeah. It's like, but he just said he's an animal, not a truck. That's so bizarre, and y'all are just, yeah, right.
Oh, they get it.
Yeah, they get it all right.
I'm sorry, you don't like my answer either.
Oh, wow.
We're going to need more cookies.
Save us,
Wow.
Dan. Save us quickly.
When we were auditioning for New Adventures of He-Man, and that was one of the very first, it was the very first job I ever did, and it was one of my first auditions, and that was part of the deal was going, and as a tender youngster as I am, barely past puberty, I was very familiar with the phrase. And I remember going in and going like, really, you want me to say this line? And I'm like, by the power of Grayskull, I have the power! And it was really cool. And I went like, wow, I just got to say it. I didn't get the part. But, that.
He's lost his identity now.
Your name hit you.
Next question.
Gabe?
Hello.
There he is.
So let's
Get lively. We're all half dead up
Yeah,
here.
I'm still here. What do you want to know?
well let's talk more about.
I was smoking heavily, and I tried Orco, and I got it. You know what I mean? They said less packs of cigarettes, and you said talk faster. But no, I did take Orco seriously. I loved that character. I tried to sound exactly like that character.
It was awesome.
Orko was my favorite character on the show.
You did
And
sound
Gabe knows
exactly like
my favorite word
And
that
apparently
Orko ever said.
you can love doing the voice too much. Sometimes that's a problem.
You sounded awesome yesterday.
Thank you very much.
Yesterday you sounded awesome.
Today you sound like 20 miles of bad road.
We can fix this in post, don't worry.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can do with auto-tune.
Let's talk a little bit more about playing multiple characters on the show, because this
Yes,
is
yes,
just
what,
this is a good
what?
good question, I guess, for voice acting in general. When you're playing multiple characters on a show, how does that work when your two characters are up against each other at the same time? Like if Merman and Stratos are having a conversation,
They always are in my head.
do you?
That's where
So,
where the voice director comes in. Because what I'll do is I'll assume the other character and play against him.
Yeah, sometimes, but that depends on who you're working with as a director. I mean, on Beast Wars, Dinobot and Rat Trap would have these, and everybody would just basically go, well, we're going to go for coffee. Scott's having one of his little scenes. And I would just run the thing as...
Insolent vermin. One more crack like that, and I will take you out the old-fashioned way. Brutally. Yeah, I would like to see you try it, that dino boob. You know, and it would just... And then where's Benedict would come in. And so that's just kind of what it's like inside my fractured mind. And sometimes it's fun to just let them all loose.
Let him go.
Well, it used to be fun in the old days. In the old days when we had cassette recorders.
We didn't have no fancy microphones back
We had
then.
to yell
you held
at
up
the
the
tape.
tape and you yelled at it. That's right, tape.
But we used to carry little cassette tape players and record the voices. And then when you had to go back to that voice, because sometimes you just forget. You forget the reference. So you get the little tape recorder and you listen to it and you go, oh, yeah, there you are. Okay, I got the voice now. Or you'd have a gesture like him was the... with the and the hero, all these different poses to make you get into the voice. And now it's really easy because it's all digital, and they just go, can I have a voice reference, please? Yeah, sure. Bink, and it's there. Yeah. And then you go up and you do your voice reference and go, okay, I got it. You do a couple of sentences, and then you rock and roll.
Used to be an old trick that actually learned from Sue Blue of just finding a catchphrase.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes you come up with one signature little catchphrase that just instantly nails the character and the voice. Boom! You're like, hold on, lost. Got it. Boom! And off you go.
And off you go.
Very cool.
It's a strange world we live in.
Yeah.
That's true.
So we're going to turn it over to the crowd pretty soon to have them ask some questions for everybody.
God, no.
But I'm sure they'll have some good ones for you. But I wanted to ask, because it's always fun to hear about some of the behind-the-scenes stuff or working on the show itself. So are there any...
it's going to be fart stories, isn't it?
Are there any standout stories or memories you have working on any of the Masters of the Universe projects that you worked on?
We were drinking pretty heavily back in those days. I mean, those sessions were pretty wet.
I remember when we first got on the air, and someone said, "Cam, you got to go online and see what's being said." And showed me where to go. And to this day, I still don't know how to work a computer. But it was, "OMG, He-Man is gay." And then there was this, the back and forth, and it's like, "No, dude, He-Man isn't gay. The guy who plays him is gay." And this battle went back and forth as to if the guy who plays him is gay, does that make He-Man gay? And then, of course, it launched into the furry shorts and the blah, 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 blah. And I just sat back and watched this debate go on, and that was a lot of fun.
There's
I
nothing like
remember
online
distinctly the
conversations.
day that you came in, Cam, and on sort of that vein, and I was thinking, this is the most beautiful thing ever. Because you came in and you were so excited because you, yourself, Cam Clarke, were on the cover of Barbie Collector magazine. And I went,
It's true.
That's He-Man. I
true.
love this. I love this world and I love this job.
Wait, did I go, "Hi, I'm Cam, and I'm on the cover of Barbie
brought it in.
Bazaar"? I did? Oh, that's really creepy. Why would I have brought that in?
Because you were named, it was like, you are a collector.
Yeah.
And you were just, it was so beautiful because I went, this is He-Man.
There's a segue. I mean, that's just so random.
Yeah.
Hi, guys. I don't know you, but if you both know, I'm on the cover of a doll magazine.
Well, I can do it.
No, it was about third or fourth show in.
Oh!
But here, I'll tell you something else. This is to talk about segues. I think it was Cam's mother has a doll made out of a Barbie doll to celebrate his mother, who was in the King Sisters. Yeah. His mother was in the King Sisters, a singing
I mean,
group.
too young to even know who that is.
Well, the King Sisters were
Do you?
big singing group. Well, they made a Barbie of his mom, and I think this is how you started your collection. Yeah.
Let's go with that.
This is how he started his collection. But
That's good, yeah.
But
Yeah,
just
yeah.
as an adjunct to that, now listen to this, Cam. I have a King Sisters Barbie doll at home as well.
What?
Yes. My wife got it when she was younger as a kid, and it's sitting on the dresser. She had this big blue dress that comes out like this.
Yes, I modeled for
Not
that.
you.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, we
How bizarre.
It's
how
so-
Barbie bizarre.
How Barbie. Yeah. So that's just a little segue there. But talk about weird things that happen in the studio. Do we have any?
They all involve farting.
No.
There was a Coke can, Gary.
Sometimes
My
they involve Gary
favorite-
throwing up.
My favorite is the throwing up story.
Yes.
During a take.
Oh man.
But I didn't actually throw up.
So he
You
said.
He stunt belched.
He
I
foamed.
stunt belch.
You foamed.
Boy, did he.
This was just killer. We were doing Sonic the Hedgehog, and they asked me to. Was this Sonic or Captain Flan? No, it was Sonic. It was Sonic the Hedgehog, and they needed a big belch. So I said okay. So I got a can of Coke, and I went like, "Are you ready? Yeah, I'm ready." So I went, and this big ball of foam came shooting out of my mouth. No, wait.
Do we still have that on recording?
It's
Yeah, it's in a
eternal.
there's a recording.
Okay, I'd like to hear that.
This big ball of foam.
I remember
came
it, I just
shooting
can't.
out of my mouth,
Oh no,
like
Gary,
wrapped in a kind of amniotic sac. It hit my script, and I went, and it all went straight back, and did not leave a single drop on the script. Nothing. It was like, that surface tension thing, and it just went whack, and it was just crazy. Our script supervisor was lying on the floor, curled in a fetal ball, killing herself laughing. Everybody in the room was dying. The Phil Hayes was
Yeah, Gary's puking.
oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Like
You
the
hear
thing
that in the
went
background,
on
it's
and
very
on and
funny.
on. And then the poor girl, this lasted for about a half an hour. And the poor girl who was the script supervisor.
Shirley.
Who was that?
Shirley.
Was it
Yeah,
Shirley?
Shirley gets up and she goes, okay, this is line 2, take. And she'd fall down on the floor again, the tears coming down. And that was one of the most amazing things I'd ever seen.
That's an awesome story. Can I steal it? Like
Yeah,
the next
you can
convention,
steal it.
can I say it happened to me? Sure. Okay, because that's going to be great, because I have no new
It's
stories.
it's just the wildest story.
I've heard that take, and it is the most unusual sound. It can't be replicated, I don't think.
No.
The best part is just hearing Shirley.
What Gary
For the
doesn't
next
know
half
is
hour,
we have a
losing her
can of
mind.
Coke right.
Surprise! Let's try
All
again.
right.
No way. My favorite story, another one of my favorite stories is Campbell Lane, who played Skeletor in the New Adventures. Well, Campbell was a notorious chain smoker.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd try and smoke in the studio while we were recording, and that's a bit crazy. So he'd stand by the. Now this is how advanced things. Now you're not allowed to smoke within 6 feet of the studio or 6 feet of the building, but in those days you could smoke in the studio. So he'd hold the door open of the studio of the sound stage and
Blow it out.
blowing smoke out the window, out the door until it was time for his take, and he'd say, "Okay, let's go." He-Man. And I never forget that, him running out of the studio.
Well, yeah, leaning into the hallway. Because we used to smoke in the booth. And then they said we can't do that anymore.
smoke in
And
the
so, yeah, he had to make sure his mic was right by the door.
Yeah.
And he would, like, have his arm and his face out the door. And I'd be
Two
like,
takes.
oh, those were heady days.
He's gone now.
Yep.
Gone now.
Well, let's go ahead and line up for some Q&A questions. If any of you have some questions you want to ask about just voice acting in general, any of the shows, microphone
Or
is right over
anything.
here. And it looks like we got a question right now.
It's just you.
Just you. All eyes are
Shine,
upon
baby,
you.
shine.
Hello.
My question is more like a general voiceover question. Is there anything that you know now at this point in your career that you wish you knew when you were first starting out?
Yes,
Or-
everything.
Or do you have any advice for someone who might be just starting out in the voiceover world?
Someone who hypothetically might be standing in the room right now.
Maybe,
Just
just
hypothetically, of course. Yeah. Well, Well, that's a tough question.
I had a good one. You know what it is? Because we were actually just talking about this out in the courtyard, and there's a game that a lot of us have worked on called Warhammer 40,000, and it's kind of a classic example of this, of what you put out for a gig, right? I mean, because pretty much everything we do, you give everything you've got, but within video games and the way the AI is expanded and the dialogue, especially for games like 40,000, it's like massive. The scripts are huge. There's cinematics. And then you're screaming either as for the Imperium, or you're screaming as an orc to smash, battle, crash, right? And it's just constant. And in the beginning with Warhammer, it was 4 to 6 hour recording blocks, right? Insane. And it's just so easy for you to do damage in your voice. So I learned very quickly that don't give 100%, give 80%, so you have a little bit of longevity. I worked on a show called Fantastic Four years ago and played Ben Grimm on that. And the episode was me beating up the Hulk. The Hulk was played by a guy named Mark Gibbon, who's a huge Hulk of a man. And when he speaks, his lungs are huge, you know. And they kept on coming back on the talkover after we do our fights. And he's like, Brian, it sounds great, but Mark's kind of killing you. Can you go a little bigger? Yeah. Okay. And we kept on, we started massaging it, and after a while I started getting the hot spot in my throat, and before you know it, by the end of the day, I didn't realize it, but I had torn a small bit on my left side of my larynx. Yeah. And that shut me down for a month of note and pen. No talk. I was just like Gabe.
Yeah,
I think you have
don't
to be
blow your
bulletproof.
voice on day one of a convention.
Yes, don't do what
You
Gabe
got
did.
Yeah, so...
Oh, 2 days, 2 days, okay.
But the one thing, if you're doing a voice and it actually hurts, don't
Stop.
continue. Because what happens is you can go to an audition and get down into a voice that you kind of go, and it's hurting, but you're hoping you get the role. Well, the problem is if you get the role, and they say, well, 65 episodes or 60 episodes, or 30, and you kind of go, oh, crap. Now what do I do? So, yeah, that would be
happened, Michael, with me on He-Man when I got the character of Saratus, because he was like Dr. Claw.
Okay, that's the voice I'm talking about.
It was horrible. It was just, I didn't realize. I thought, you'll be in maybe an episode or two, I can handle that.
No, that's...
I mean, a large
But he
part
just
of it
kept coming
is-
back.
I mean, if we're talking about just the technicalities of maintaining the instrument with which you work, I mean, a lot of it comes from, training and experience. I do things vocally that people go, that's impossible, human voices. And I'm going, no, a speech pathologist would just shoot me for doing that. But because I was trained as a singer, operatic, blah, 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 all of that basic skill is there, so you can then do stuff without damaging yourself. But it takes technique.
Knowing your limits.
But to further, I mean, I think the most important thing, like when I teach, I stress this a lot, because I meet a lot of people that, go, hey, I do all these, I'm going, hey, cool, you do 4,337 different voices. That's awesome. You're a voice person. Can you act?
Yeah.
Because by far, I mean, those two words, voice actor, this is fun and this makes you viable if you can manipulate this into a billion different ways. But if you're not actor first, it's, I cite Mel Blanc all the time, who I think was the greatest voice actor to ever grace this planet, because he never, ever, ever once created a voice. He always created a character, which is why, in spite of what my therapist says, I know that rabbits and ducks can't talk because I hear them.
Or trucks.
Or trucks. And a lot of times, like somebody, whoever's voicing that now, and I've been fortunate enough to be one of those people. I played Foghorn Leghorn on Baby Looney Tunes. But, with all respect to it's, Kermit may sound like Kermit now, but it isn't Kermit's heart. It's not the soul that Mel Blanc, or that, in that case, Jim Henson imbued into the character. But if you have somebody that's a consummate actor, like I cite Jim Cummings all the time now, it's going, you can't tell Winnie the Pooh now is not the same person that Sterling Holloway created. And that comes from the performance and the character and the heart of that character. And then all the other vocal stuff is just sprinkles.
Thank
you're
you.
talking about, just very quickly, if you're talking about how to get started as a voiceover actor, well, there's all kinds of different ways. You can start by learning how to sing, read everything you can out loud, watch
Garry Chalk.
Chalk, yeah, that's my name. Watch shows to see how they work. Take a workshop, build a demo tape, and get someone that you trust who can be discriminating on your tape and critical of your tape to listen to it.
And if you use
Sorry, go ahead.
sock puppets.
How did you know I was going to say
good
that? Oh. Actually, you know what? You also kind of have to know where the bar is set. And
Yeah.
a lot of people are just like, well, okay, yeah, I'll make a demo, blah, 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 blah. Where? You know, what do I do with that demo? You can actually go online to all the major agencies like characters.com and other, you know, play management, whatever. All of those major agencies carry their A-Circuit Talents demos on it. So you can go online, you can actually listen to everybody's demo tape that are like A-Circuit people in this industry. Commercial, animation, promo, narrative, it's all there. And you can listen to this stuff, and right away you'll get an idea is like, I can work in this kitchen, or I'm going that way, right? And you'll just get having a general idea as to where it is. And if you can listen to these demos, you can get some ideas, and then you can start to put something together of your own that you're gonna put your own signature on.
I use Voice Bank, but yeah, I've been listening to it.
Exactly, it's invaluable.
Thank you.
The beauty of it is it's the most fun you can possibly have and get paid. And I stress this when I teach too. It's like when you go into that room, that is the monkey bars. That's your playground. You cannot make a mistake. You know, it might be weird choices, but that's how interesting stuff is created. And the more you allow yourself the freedom to, I mean, in cartoons you can be anything. You know, when I work on camera, guess what kind of characters I play. In cartoons, I played men, women, children, pan-dimensional space beings, tiny blobs of crime-fighting condiments. There's nothing you can't be. There's nothing. If you believe in, you create this character, it's so liberating as an actor. Because there's nothing you can't do, man. So be unafraid and don't forget to play.
I tried to be a woman. I can't be a woman. What are you talking about?
I gender jumped once.
The
I'm
very first
voiceover.
anime I ever did, I played not one, not two, but 3 different women in it. I went like, okay, anime is weird. I get it.
Voiceover fluid, we call it now.
We have another. We have a young little guy there.
I don't think we should use the term He-Man anymore either in these gender-sensitive times.
He person.
We have a little.
Ziz.
Person.
Ziz.
We can some mic adjustment, a little mic adjustment there.
Yes, sir.
Very, very nice.
Is that
very
going to
nice.
work? There we go.
How do you get an idea, how do you get an idea of what, like the people in the show, how, they sound?
How they sound. That's
Good
the
question.
best question
Good question.
so far. That's a great question. Who wants to go first?
I'll shoot on that one. When they give us an audition, they send a picture, like something from a coloring book, or, like when you're looking at books and stuff and you see, let's say there's a walrus, okay? And he's got these big fangs and the big, furry upper lip. You say, well, if those were my teeth, what would that sound like? Because sometimes, you'll get a thing, I'll get auditions where there is no picture, and
It's very difficult when that
and
happens.
I'll call the
Yeah.
agent and go, did you forget
It makes no sense, does it, when that
Did you
happens?
forget the
And it does
picture?
happen. Sometimes you don't get the picture, but when you do, yeah.
that really helps. Or you see and it's a little Martian, or or this person has it's an elephant with a trunk. What does that bring to your mind as far as the sound that would come out?
Yeah, for example, if you've got a character who's tall and thin with a long neck and a little head, and he's got a real reedy kind of voice. And if you've got a big fat hippo like me, you've got this big blubbery hippo, and he has this blubbery voice, and he goes, "Excuse yourself, you pig," because that's you take on it's the big word, physicality of the character.
Yep.
And then you add in the description of the character, they'll say, this guy's really fun-loving and happy and wonderful, or this guy's really mean and beastly and awful. And then you take that mean and beastly and awful character, or the warm and loving character, and combine that with the physical aspect of the drawing that you see, and come out with a voice, because sometimes they have, as he said,
Jowly,
like, big jowly, I'm a walrus. That's what walruses sound like. And, well, to me, that's what they sound like. If I'd imagine a walrus talking, that's what he would sound like. And then there's little birds, and there's ponies.
Yes.
Ponies.
I remember when I auditioned for King Hiss, and they were just like, okay, it's King Hiss. What are we going to do here? Well, he's a snake man. He's lizardy. So I kind of gave him in there, and then all of a sudden I extended my S's as if there was a long tongue that was slithery. And it's, as you say, you kind of look at those pictures and you get a very good idea of whether it be an animal or a human or a creature or whatever like that, and then just kind of look at those qualities. Does he have big teeth? All of that stuff. It's you put those pieces together, and before you know it, you're starting to develop the character. It's pretty cool.
A lot of times, I concur, I think, with almost everybody. It's like, I love working off a picture. You just look in the eyes of the character on the picture. You will either lock, on the good times, you go, boom, I know exactly what this character is all about. Sometimes they just pop into your, soul like that. A lot of times we don't get it, but you will also get, you get information from the creators, the producers. Sometimes you get nothing and they're just like, come up with something. But a lot of times there's very specific things that they're looking for. They'll say, we want it to sound like this. We want this kind of a quality in the voice. Sometimes they'll give you references of other performers. One of the weirdest ones I actually got myself as a reference, and I didn't get the gig.
That's very funny.
Yeah. They went, okay, look up this reference on YouTube. And I went, that's me. Interesting.
What's
but
fun-
they will sometimes have very clear ideas as to what they want, and then sometimes it's up to you to kind of forge that character into what, or convince them that what they're asking for is not necessarily the best choice in the world, and that your choice is by far superior.
One thing that I think is funny, though, is sometimes we'll get audition sheets, and they're like 9 miles long because they also think it's important that you know their birthday and which pretend planet they were from, which really has nothing to do with...
It could go the other way sometimes, can't it? Completely.
Well, depending on the gravity of Planet Kolob.
TMI.
So that's pretty funny. Or when they will be... And it's make-believe, and
Yes.
they have made up their own phonetics. So you'll get the character's name, and it's spelled how they would spell it in their brain if they were from planet 432, and it's like, how about just spell it in English? Let's go with that.
That might help. That could help.
I'm from the planet.
But excellent question, my
Yes,
friend.
it was a great
Very,
question,
very
I gotta
cool.
say.
Thanks.
More important, though, and when the last thing for you is look at your character and say, how would I sound if I were like this? And you make up your own voice, and that's the best one.
Thanks.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Very nice.
All right, we can probably squeeze in one more if anybody else has any questions.
No, don't rush the mic now.
Got one? Oh, here we
Everybody,
go.
easy.
Oh, here we go. We got two.
And then go, oh, I forgot.
Oh, darn.
Darn.
Okay, yeah, so, got it?
Oh, we got time for two.
Oh, we got time for all
we'll
of
get
this.
Uh-oh.
We're not going
Trick
anywhere.
For all both of you.
Trick microphone stand.
Okay.
This
Someone
mic
says,
has been
remember
brought to you
in
by
episode
Marriott
14?
Productions.
Okay, so I know that all of you guys have done a ton of different series. Is there like an upper limit to how many different shows you can be working on at a time, or how many different characters you can be playing at a time?
Days.
No. It's just time. In busy
Your schedule,
times,
yeah.
you can be, you can literally do 2 episodes of one series in the morning, and you might be playing 5, 6, 7 characters in each of those, doing a bunch of stuff in your break. It might be commercials. It might be, anime, getting other sessions in. Then you can spend the afternoon working on a different show, playing multiple characters. There is no real limit.
No.
I think on Bucky O'Hare, I think in one episode I played 12 characters. It was weird.
Bucky O'Hare.
But, there really are no limitations. I mean, besides time and space is a
And sleep.
physical location, and sleep, and occasionally, pooping. There's no reason.
Occasionally.
Occasionally.
I remember at one time in the 90s, a bunch of us were literally working 7 days a week. And I remember I was doing a movie at the same time, and I would finish work at 3 o'clock in the studio, and then rush down to set at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, work till 4 in the morning, go home, try and sleep for 2 hours, get up at 7 o'clock to be at the studio by 8, work all day, then rush to set, and that went for like 2 weeks, and I was starting to see little rabbits out of the corners of my eyes. I was completely insane.
We were all seeing the rabbits too, Gary.
We were very concerned.
Remember
Gary.
that?
There was one thing that happened, and I won't say names because it's kind of not nice. A fellow actor of mine was working on a show that we were on together, and he got a pilot with the same company, and they scheduled it for the same time as a standing series we had. And he said, well, I'm already, doing this episodic.
Yeah.
And they said, mind you, this is the same company. He's just booked a new show. He's on a hit show. And they say, well, I guess you'll just have to choose.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I mean, isn't that crazy?
That's wrong in so many ways. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start with the wrong of that. Anyway, didn't mean to bring you down, but...
Debbie Downer.
Yeah, really.
Wow.
Whatever. God. Oh.
Well, to continue the negativity then, you sort of touched on yours. What's the least favorite character you've ever had to voice, and why, either because of the physicality or the character itself?
It's funny because Garry and I were talking about this just a moment ago.
Orcs. Warhammer.
The orcs are a tough one, but I'll probably be hated for this a little bit here because it is a great show. Don't get me wrong, but Strawberry
Warcraft.
Shortcake. I sometimes play a character by the name of Uncle Dave, and they've pushed me into a zone with this voice that I really kind of hate myself a little bit. By the end of the record, I'm just like, can we just get on with this? And yeah, I don't want to say too much about it, but yeah, that's one of them.
We have the kind of job which is, it would be really strange if you went, well, I had to go slave away in front of a hot microphone for an hour and a half today. And then I strained my back carrying all the money home. Oh, God, I miss my days on the deep fryer at McDonald's. There's nothing unpleasant about what we do. Sometimes physically, like Dragon Ball Z was a scream that lasted 10 years.
That's a good example.
That's one that I actually blacked out in. So, it was demanding. Yeah, that's right. I used to be a boy soprano.
He used to be a tenor, boy soprano.
The only thing I've ever done that physically hurt, the only thing that's ever caused me sort of any pain where I went, I don't think I could keep doing this for a long time, was after Chris Latta had passed away. I ended up with the role of Cobra Commander on G.I. Joe for a while. And I'm sorry, man, that one hurt. But it was still incredibly fun. It's
taxing.
You never go, God, that was just the worst day of work ever.
With all that screaming.
Yeah, DBZ, and you never knew how long those screams were going to be either.
They'd seam our screams. Remember that? It was just like,
Well, you'd sit there and you know, because in anime, all you're
Cue it up
getting
again
is
and
3
continue.
beeps, and so it's like beep, 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 and you're like,
Ow! Take a breath. Take a breath.
Longer.
Then there's a little break, and you're like, oh, no! And then
They
the
seam
room
it together.
goes,
You do that
and then
5
you
or 6
fall.
times.
See, that's killer. That's killer.
And that scream actually lasted a full decade, from episode 1 to the end, with some words thrown in between. Wow, that was a long one.
I think that was the
All
hardest show I
right,
worked on.
excellent.
Anybody else?
That's it?
All right, guys. Well, I think that is going to wrap up the voice act.
wait.
Oh, we have one more? Okay, we'll squeeze in one more.
Uno
Let's
mas.
do it.
You got somebody else
I
coming
don't
in?
know if you're allowed to do this, but I wanted to know if each of you could do your favorite or best known voice, whether it's the shows that you're talking about
Oh,
right
man.
now or another one. And I particularly want to hear you do Leonardo.
Booyah.
It's allowed. I
Leo.
don't know.
Leo.
Hello, April. It's Leonardo. I'm down here in the sewer with the turtle van, and we're having pizza with hot fudge and sardines. Listen, Krang and Shredder are on their way. We gotta think of something fast.
As the straight man of that show, pardon the pun, it was, talking about things you didn't like to do. It was hard for me when I first booked it to not be a clown with the other guys, to be just do the straight lines and set them up. And I was like trying to do a spoof of the superhero thing, and it, I was like, okay, well, I'll just, set them up straight. Yeah. It's a, it was a stretch.
From Barbie Bazaar, the straight man from the cover of Barbie Bazaar.
This guy. What's your favorite?
It's just easy. I mean, there's hands down my favorite time, as I say in the sandbox, was with Once we destroyed He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, the power, the glory, and all of Eternia will finally be mine!
I'm not stupid. I just lost my head for a moment. Oh, come on, Scratch. Let's get this done correctly before Dr. Robotnik destroys us.
There's a lot of voices in my head right now.
Oh, it hurts.
And I don't know which one to let out first. 'Cause sometimes they all start at once.
Scott loves all his voices the same.
That's right. I'm an equal opportunity brain. They're all my children. Some of them are bad children. Some of them are worse. I don't know. I mean, it's like, you say popularity. I mean, I've done a lot of different things in a lot of different genres. So I always go like, if you got a favorite, I'll do it. If I got a favorite, I don't know which it is.
Waspinator! Do Waspinator!
You know, it was my personal fun thing that I ever did, because it was my favorite Christmas movie or special. We did a sequel to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer called Rudolph on the Island of Misfit Toys. And I got to be Hermie the Elf and Yukon Cornelius. And, going in and going, I'm independent. Not if you don't mind my being a dentist, which I realized was a real metaphor, and Hermie was gay as hell. But, and to this day,
I met him on Match.com, actually.
I slid right. So for me, that was kind of the coolest. And I've heard the comparison of the original, and I went, you know what? I nailed it. That, didn't I ever tell you about Bumbles? Bumbles, bam! The voice that everybody wanted to do on that, though, was, well, nobody wants a Charlie in the box. I also didn't realize that was done. I watched it as an adult, the original, and I went, did they just say, check that out? I went, wait a minute, I think this was done in Canada. And it was recorded, the original one was done in 1964. The guy that played Hermie was actually the guy that played Spider-Man in the original really horrifyingly bad animation but very cool Spider-Man show. Paul Souls. Yes, you did play Santa.
I played Santa. I sang a duet with Debbie Reynolds. It was so cool. That little boy.
I hate to cut you guys off, but we're gonna have to get things wrapped up pretty quick. So we got.
Oh well, I've done so many different characters. I do a lot of stuff on Lego Star Wars and stuff, and I'm not even going to go there. But on the beginning of the He-Man, the 2002 series we did, Randor walks in, and I remember it was kind of the line that in the beginning the council members, he's asking them questions, and it's like, yes, well, we have to leave, whatever, and the line was, I think it panned back, and he says, but how will I know this hero? And he goes, how will I know this hero?
I love that line, Michael. Yes. Good choice.
There you go.
That was him.
That was right.
He used his acting.
And now we dance.
My favorite voice is Orko.
Mine's
I always
Sprockets.
love to be the comical sidekick.
All right, guys, let's hear it for our panelists up here, the voice actors of the 2002 Masters of the Universe cartoon.